guys stay here. Are we dead? I don't know. Sure do play excellent music. Most of us can. It's us. Who are we?
For those of you who don't know who Bill and Ted are, they're characters in an entertainment picture which combines some of the fashions of the 80s decade with a storyline of itself, which is having the two friends, Bill and Ted, stop themselves from being separated and, thus not being able to make the band that they're trying to put together. So they can write harmoniously comforting music, which is supposed to end world hunger, and in its place it's supposed to put world peace. Okay. Well, you see, this movie was always one of those things I always remembered as a kid. I owned it as a kid. I owned both of them, both Bogus Journey and Excellent Adventure. And there's one bit of entertainment with this particular franchise that I don't think it's never, well, it has seen the light of day, but I don't think that we're talking about the sun when it comes to talking about the light of day. So honestly, what more can I say? Here it is. Well, to begin such an adventure, the two protagonists, Bill, seems like a pretty average guy, and Ted.
Whoa!
These two are high school junkies who basically flunk every portion of their history course. Now, any other course, we have no idea. And basically they have to ace their final or they must retake their history course all over again. Which adds to the problem that instead of actually having the both of them take the course over again, they will be separated, as Ted's father will be making him go to an Alaskan military school, thus never making their band. Now, I've taken a course or two again in high school, but I know for sure any course I have been in never depended on the final grade I ever received, and if it did, no grade could shoot up from an F from completing little to no work to at least a passing grade, which is a C usually, for most school boards. Anyhow, the two go about doing this by coming across a telephone booth that comes out of the ground. A man named Rufus informs them the telephone booth is a time machine. Well, we have a DeLorean, a bunch of lightning bolts, so why not a telephone booth too? Ever wonder why we don't use telephone booths anymore? Huh. I know the Europeans still do. We have them in New York, but they aren't as popular now with the cell phone. That's a neat invention. A virtual reality telephone booth. So Bill and Ted are threatened to be separated by Ted's father, and the two escape one night and set off onto history after a brief visit to France to gather Napoleon with Rufus. No, not Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Bonaparte. The two decide to gather historical personages in order to make a presentation for their history exam. Now this review is a reversal role where, as usually games originate a story, usually there's media that spawns after trying to capitalize on the franchise itself. Even though they're not really interested in doing the actual content justice. However, the original here is a movie that we're making a game out of to try and capitalize. It's very similar to the Spider-Man movies. I mean, there are so many games that came out after those movies. Each of those movies came out. But there are counterparts for each one of those elements. But they were made so mediocre that it's not really worth mentioning that much.
They don't make them like they used to. Actually, they do make them like they used to. They just don't sell them anymore. They make them and they keep them.
Okay, so you start up the game, and the first thing you see is none other than the Carlinator. Long live the Carlinator, dead or alive, wherever he is, that place just became a stand-up nightclub for Carlin. You will never not hear laughter in that club. I guarantee it. A moment of screaming laughter for the old man who was the best at it. So you press start, and as soon as you leave the screen, you're brought to the title screen. Where the... Have you ever heard this fucking music in any part of the movie? Or any of the movies? Not that Bill and Ted have a specific theme song. It's like more that guitar sound whenever something positive happens for them.
What? These are heavy. Yeah, heavy metal.
Be excellent to each other. Play a decent 8-bit theme song! Okay, so what was it saying? Something about once upon a time, temporal continuum. And if you didn't think hearing it the first time was bad enough, you get to hear it again the first actual screen of this game. Holy shit. Yeah, Ted comes out of a machine he got... Where exactly? Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try to explain this a little bit without any knowledge that someone would have after playing this game. Somebody who completely ignored the game, has seen the first two movies, and is just wondering what the hell it's about. Um, okay, so what I gather by all this is that maybe this is a sequel or something where they didn't exactly take everybody back after they finished their their history exam, or somebody found out about it and decided to take all the figures to different places in the time continuum. I mean, imagine like Abraham Lincoln in China, Genghis Khan in France, Beethoven in Germany, Sigmund Freud in Rome. Meanwhile, in another area of the time continuum, okay, I guess that's Bill. So, does he have another phone booth time machine? Did Rufus give one to each of them? Rufus is a busy man, as always. So, I'm to use an item to lure back these personages to their time periods. What the hell am I supposed to use? A block of cheese or something? Okay, I kind of understand it, but... Alright, well, let's take a look at the list, at least, and see what it is that, they want us to find. A bag of money, a book of lawyer stuff, a compact disc, a compass, a fortune cookie, a headstone, a holy grail, a lawn chair, a major credit card, a megaphone, a paint roller, a pair of choppers, a rose, a salad dressing, a stage prop, and an Uzi.
It seems to me the only thing you've learned is that Caesar is a salad dressing dude.
Unless this is after Bogus Journey, I mean, where the hell would they find the fucking time to do this? I mean, they already packed the shit out of, like, all this stuff that they gotta do in the future so that the past, which would be the past at that point in time, would take place. Anyway, going through the book by flipping the pages, you see all these personages that apparently Bill and Ted decided to grab for their final on deleted scenes, I guess. And that's what they're making the sequel. I guess more like a deleted sequel with everything I missed. They're talking about time-traveling rogues. Come on, could they have really hired, like, him? The game, you realize, has no consistency with the movies. The only time that this could actually happen is if the game took place over the course of the 16 months the time traveled, in which they got married, had kids, one each, and learned how to play guitar in Bogus Journey, unless they spent those 16 months continually going back in time to learn how to play until they reached their own time. I guess you can learn to play any instrument eventually if you have the time machine. The numbers you're allowed to go to will blink red. A blue number is the time period they are from, and the red is the time period they are in. So some of the numbers are different, but there doesn't seem to be a pattern of where they are put each time the game is loaded. Like the numbers are always seeming random. But also trying to dial the number that isn't blinking red will give you a busy signal more times than not, even though it is possible to go to one of these locations that isn't blinking. So basically, the best thing to do is to go wherever you're going, of where the numbers will tell you and allow you to go. And we'll have more on that part later. Okay, time to open the phone book. Cleopatra? Wait a minute. Now, if I recall, Bill and Ted go back in time to bring historical figures to San Dimas 1980s, and they grab Sigmund Freud, Genghis Khan, Billy the Kid, Socrates, Abraham Lincoln, Joan of Arc, Cleopatra, Confucius, King Arthur, Christopher Columbus, Paul Revere, Jesse James, Al Capone, Elvis, Julius Caesar, Robin Hood, Rembrandt, William Shakespeare, George Washington, Sitting Bull, Thomas Edison, and Marilyn Monroe? Unless this is even after Bogus Journey. So you type in the numbers where they are on the phone, and time circuit screen. Okay, what am I controlling? For the first time playing, I typed in the numbers in the phone, so why should I have to control anything since I typed the numbers in? I see numbers here, and skulls. Maybe you die with the skulls if you get the telephone booth in the skulls? Well, I'm not gonna find out right now. Okay, so I guess I'm in the time period where Rembrandt is after getting the thing over to the little fork that the time circuits. I guess that's where it shifts. So I get to the time period where Rembrandt is. Not that it was too far off from the phone number he's from. I don't see the phone booth, so I guess Ted hid it where no one would find it. Not that we see where that is. What's with this jump? How can he jump the different differences in the distances. It's got such different jumping patterns, and depending on how hard you hit the button, it's you know, you can jump differently depending on how hard you hit it or how gentle. It's got a sensitivity to it. But look how far he can soar. Also, he lands on his ass if you jump too close to an edge of the pathway. And it seems like Ted has a motor disorder where he can't move after he crashes on the ground from jumping too far. You gotta stay completely still for a moment and then jump so you can move around. Because basically you need to stay still so you can kind of charge your jump by the amount of spaces you're walking in place. Okay, why is this fucker chasing me? When Bill and Ted go back in time in Excellent Adventure, do they have people chasing them to throw them in jail? Or in Bogus Journey, they had the medieval guys ready to execute them, but that's because they were in the princess's bedroom, and you know, if you caught a bunch of guys in your daughter's bedroom, I mean, you know, in that day and age, I mean, that's what they did, you know? So we have a town. Okay, getting smacked out of there. I don't quite understand that. Huh. Ted cloned himself. Maybe I'm not supposed to be here, or maybe it's Ted working in the future, like in the movie, or maybe the past. Only I came to him this time. Oh, you wanna fuck with me? Jump over this fence again to get away from you, dumbass? Alright, here we go. Huh? You gave me a firecracker? I'ma blow you away with your firecracker! Haha, eat that, punk. What's next? Oh, you want some too? Looks like there isn't enough blowing up of metal and pixel around here. Bring it on, you pixelated bucket of chains and arms. I can go postal on you guys in self-defense if I need to. No problem. Seems like this was the origin of GTA, you know, Grand Theft Auto. The ability to walk around town, throw bombs, blow people up, and cause chaos with people running away scared. Man, first place I go is just, you know, I don't know. So screw Rembrandt then. Okay, maybe Thomas Edison will be a better choice. Fuck! It's the same damn place pretty much. One thing that blows is the fact that anytime you go outside, this garbage music plays again until it stops. I guess they didn't know how to loop the music so that it plays continuously. The only time it actually does play continuously outside of just walking inside a house or something and going back out is when you find like an item or some sort of event happens that's so, but you know, on second thought, maybe it's better that they didn't know how to loop the music. When I first heard this music, I had to pause the game and just stop and laugh because this music is just, you know, for a Bill and Ted game. I mean, Bill and Ted are about music and a band. I mean, more than likely, you're gonna have somebody ending up starting a war rather than ending a war with this kind of bullshit music. I mean, even as I do this right now, they're planning World War III just because I'm making this review. And This is not the music that is going to be bringing world peace back together. I will guarantee you that it is not. There's no way. I mean, there's no way anybody's listening to this on their iPod, on their way to work, or in the car, or any of that. No, if this is... It is... I mean, I don't know, maybe this is Bill and Ted practicing. Okay, so I find a horse, and it's basically a jumping game. Dodging, rather. Then I actually talk to some people who say textbook pages are in a corral to the southwest. So I go southwest and I find a lake with a boat in it. The boat is pretty much like the horse, only you can't jump. To go faster, you press up, down slows you down, and left and right turns you those directions. What the fuck is that? Excellent! It's one of those highly dangerous textbooks. I'd say they're highly dangerous. They're bubbling out of the water. What the hell are those textbooks made out of anyway? This is actually kind of interesting. I mean, this adds a little bit of like a story element to this game. Maybe the rebels found out about these personages from the textbook pages. Maybe they're like Bill and Ted's notes. It's hard to even say they would be writing any of this down while they're going on this adventure, but that's the only way I could really describe how these time-traveling rogues find the information to be able to get the personages and, such things. But I don't know, it's just, why would they leave them bubbling in water? Maybe they were being chased by somebody? It seems to me like everything about this game is pretty random, but the only thing that's not random is the fact that no matter who you're trying to find, you're always going to end up in certain places, and the fact that, the personages, the figures that you're trying to find are also going to be the same, and the items that you lure them out with. What are these people? Are they rabbits or something? Do we need to make one of those traps that, with the stick, and then we just pull the string on them? I mean, are they monkeys? Jeez. Anyway, there's 3 areas that you seem to end up in, as well as the other stuff that's not random. It's a festival, Renaissance festival, with guards, thieves, houses and castles, an ancient world with Egyptians, and the Old West with Indians and cowboys. Okay, talking to Edison. How the fuck would he even know what a compact disc is? Why would he be so gracious to receive it? Then again, I guess it is from the future, but... Let's party back at my place? And by the way, that little noise clip when I entered, is that supposed to be the guitar clip they play sometimes when Bill and Ted have done something positive for themselves? It's good. Something good has happened. Oh, gosh. I'm gonna have to lie down after this review. So, Ted takes Thomas Edison back to his time period. Not another one of these fucking events. So you have to fire the thing to shortcut yourself further. Firing it into the skulls is something you don't want to do, because what's the point of this screen? Do Bill and Ted ever do this in the movie? I don't know. Just all I know is that the skulls are not good, for whatever reason. Phew. Do these sounds even remotely sound like an 8-bit MIDI guitar? I mean, I don't even really need to comment. So you get Thomas Edison back to his time. I'm assuming it's before the show they're supposed to do. They do the show, plan another gig, and then go meet Rufus. That seems to be the routine to this game. Rufus will tell you that more rebels have put another historical figure in the wrong time. This is a huge detective hunt where the rebels place historical figures after every gig you book, but before you can practice. These rebels sure know how to fuck Bill and Ted up, considering we know exactly how the loss of these figures from their timelines will fuck Bill and Ted's careers. Completely. I mean, Joan of Arc was probably the whole reason Ted was born. Did you ever meet these rebels, though? These time-traveling rogues? Maybe the time-traveling rogues are actually the programmers of LJN? And that's how they were able to get the licenses to all these movie titles before anyone else could. I mean, by far they hold the standard, so I don't know, that makes sense to me. So I think these time traveling rogues actually have a little bit of continuity into reality. It's freaking strange. Okay, so now that I've gotten one of them back, I'm gonna try to explain this a little. So it seems every time you travel to get a figure back, you change from Bill to Ted, and Ted to Bill, back and forth. Or maybe it's just specific on who you're trying to return. There's no way I'd spend that much time with this. You're given coins, and basically the time circuits change. So now you have to use this cursor that you have and fire your booth all the way to the end without crossing any skulls or you lose your coins. And if you cross on a number, that's how many coins you have to put into the machine. Why the fuck do they need coins to travel to these circles anyway? I mean, what are these circuits of time like the metro railways that we have in New York? That you have to stop at all these time periods before you can get to your destination? Only you have to pay coins for every fucking stop? What kind of fucking commute is this? Okay. Now, I'm seriously just gonna try to go through at least one more of these. Honestly, I looked it up before, and do you have to do this with every single one of them? No, you don't. And thank freaking goodness. I don't know if I could stand doing this. Even as much as they're saying that they're saying this game has 6. You're supposed to bring back 6 of them. I don't even think I could bring back 6, let alone the entire fucking book. So alright, I'm just gonna try to get through one more, and alright, and then I have a couple of things to show you before I do the grand finale here for this. So, now we're gonna go back to Bill. Well, we didn't start with Bill, but we're gonna go to Bill. And basically, I'm gonna go ahead and look for Al Capone. Now, out of all the strangest things I've spotted with history overall, the history of Bill and Ted and the sequel, not the one with the Grim Reaper, but the one where the rebels time fuck with other historical figures. The biggest thing I find most interesting of all, what rebel decided to have Al Capone in Sitting Bull's territory? I mean, granted, he'd be pretty effective, but damn, he'd be bored as fuck. I mean, it's like if he had a choice between Sitting Bull's territory, the Old West, Indian times, and Alcatraz, he'd pick Alcatraz. Definitely after seeing Sitting Bull's territory for however long. I mean, why do you think they call him Sitting Bull? Some people call him Spinning Bull. Alright, so we're in Sitting Bull's territory. We actually find a couple of items while we're looking for the items, that we need to give to Al Capone. We come across a couple of people saying Al Capone is in a house facing east, Al Capone is in the south, and then we find out about some information of items. We managed to find a bag of money. We managed to find a salad dressing in fucking Navajo Indian land. A salad dressing. I hear stuff about Al Capone in a house facing east. I go to jail. I find a tombstone in between two houses as I get out. After some trekking in the south and other areas, so if he's in a house facing east and he's in the south, you check each east-facing house in the south until you find him. Logically enough, this is actually accurate. Finally, after a little while, we actually managed to find a book of lawyer stuff, which is the item that we need for Al Capone. So, going off of the information we've been told, you search for Al Capone in the south and find the house facing east. Once you find it, you will find Al Capone in the house eventually. Al Capone says exactly the same thing Edison said, so it's almost as if he doesn't even have a personality of his own saying different things, being Al Capone. Why would he want a book of lawyer stuff, though? I'm going to go through this list of items to lure the figures out with. Then I want to talk a little bit about the difficulty. Okay, so we've established that a compact disc is so foreign to Edison that he wouldn't even know what he'll do with it. But the thing is, Ted couldn't even show him what to do with it unless he had a CD player with him or a Walkman. Al Capone has no use for a book of lawyer stuff because he's in jail whenever he's not in this time period. So what is he going to try to understand the courts for? I guess the only thing I can think of is that he tried finding a loophole to get out. Alright, so here's our list. We have a major credit card for Cleopatra. What sense does that make? A bag of money suits Robin Hood. That makes sense. A compass for Columbus makes sense. A fortune cookie for Confucius. I guess I'll let it pass. It kind of makes sense, but Okay, what the fuck do we need to give Elvis a headstone for? What the hell does that mean? The Holy Grail for Arthur is plausible. That makes sense. A lawn chair for Sitting Bull? You know, everything surrounding this Spinning Bull asshole is just ridiculous. A megaphone actually does make sense for Paul Revere. Now, I'd like to see Rembrandt with a paint roller, though. Okay, what the hell does Washington need with a pair of choppers? Does he have a buddy to go riding with? I know it's really because he has wooden teeth, but Others are pretty sensible too, but the stage prop for Shakespeare doesn't make sense, considering the stage prop could technically be anything. And a salad dressing is just as useless for Julius Caesar as a credit card is for Cleopatra. In a nutshell, this seems like this is what the whole game is, but there's more. I'm not done with this turkey yet. Before I start into this, there's one thing I want to show you. Basically, I have to iterate the necessity to go to the blinking red numbers. Before, I was saying how the blinking red numbers are where you're at or something, and the blue numbers are where you're from. Well, really what it is the blinking red numbers are the places where you're supposed to go. If there's blinking red numbers next to blue numbers, that's where you should be going, because if you don't, and you don't get a busy signal, if you go to an area not blinking red, I'm assuming it has something to do with the fact of whether you have the item to get that person. Makes sense. Although, hey, LJN's not known for making sense. If you happen to go through one of these areas, you're going to run into a shitstorm of Halo Nazis. They call them like crazed jailer guys, or crazy dudes who want to throw you in jail or something like that. Well, I call them coked up Nazis. Okay? And Cleopatra is next. I have one playthrough where her number is blinking, and one playthrough where it is not. What the fuck? She in the right place? I don't know. Maybe the time travelers couldn't create a worse problem for the two of them by taking her out of fucking Egypt. Maybe it's a time plot thing where she was to sign something or another, or an important event, but too subtle for Bill and Ted to notice because it's still in Egypt. I don't know. Who the hell knows? It's hard to try and make sense in defense of anything with this mess of a game anymore. Now just take a look at this. This is why we're not going to be here long. Just watch as I play through this and the amount of guards who want your ass in the slammer. How can you play like this? Keeping in mind I'm running and hopping at full speed, how can you expect to find Cleopatra in this? Now we'll flip to Cleo when it's blinking, when we're supposed to be there. So far, so good. Do you see anybody being an asshole? Trying to throw me in jail? Okay, here and there you may find one or two, but still, that happens in every area. Just look. Give it a little bit. There's always sweets next to Miss Fifi's house, buddy. Always. So, if you have to say two things about the NES adventure of Bill and Ted,
These two great gentlemen are dedicated to a proposition which was true in my time, just as it's true today. Be excellent to each other. And
Fuck this game, bitches!